Hello everybody, my name is Ailie and I'm here at the lovely Festival of Friendship put on by Connections, and I am going to tell you some stories.
Hello, and I'm Marie-Louise, and I'm here today to sing some songs. I don't know about you, but I have really missed singing with other people recently. And so I thought if I sing some songs here, maybe you could join in from wherever you are. Let's start off with one that you might know. We're all together again, we're here, we're all together again, we're here, and who knows when we'll be all together again, singing all together again, we're here. Well, one of my favourite songs for getting a bit of energy going is Drunken Sailor. I don't know if you remember the song about the Drunken Sailor. Do you remember it, Ailie?
Oh yes, I like that one.
Well, let's have a go at the Drunken Sailor. It goes something like this. What shall we do with a drunken sailor? What shall we do with a drunken sailor? What shall we do with a drunken sailor early in the morning? Hooray, and up she rises, hooray, and up she rises, hooray, and up she rises early in the morning. Shave his belly with a rusty razor, shave his belly with a rusty razor, shave his belly with a rusty razor early in the morning. Hooray, and up she rises, hooray, and up she rises, hooray, and up she rises early in the morning. Put him in the longboat till he's sober, put him in the longboat till he's sober, put him in the longboat till he's sober early in the morning. Hooray, and up she rises, hooray, and up she rises, hooray, and up she rises early in the morning. Stick him in a barrel with a hose pipe on him. Stick him in a barrel with a hose pipe on him. Stick him in a barrel with a hose pipe on him early in the morning. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises early in the morning.
Well, Marie-Louise, I have got here one drink that I think that Drunken Sailor might not be so keen on, and that is milk. So I'm going to tell a wee story about milk. And this is a little story from the town of Kilmarnock. And it's a true story. It happened in 1829. Now, in those days, the farmers that lived round about Kilmarnock would come in with their horses and carts, and they would bring in milk from their farms to sell. And they would gather all around the cross in the middle of Kilmarnock, and they would sell their milk there to the women of Kilmarnock. But in 1829, these farmers decided they wanted more money for their milk, and so they all put up the price of a pint of milk. Now, the women of Kilmarnock were not happy about this. In fact, they weren't just not happy, they were furious. They did not want to pay any more money for the milk. And so they all got together and they agreed between themselves that they would all refuse to pay any more money for a pint of milk. And not only that, but they agreed, they said if anyone did buy any of the milk, they would immediately take the jug off them and pour the milk out. Not only that, they were so angry that after they'd made this decision, after they'd had their big meeting all huddled together, and they decided, they were still angry, and they went around all around the cross in Kilmarnock, and they picked up all of those milk churns and turned them upside down so that the milk was flowing off the carts and into the square and off in all directions down all the streets that lead off the square there in Kilmarnock. There were milk puddles and milk streams and milk rivers and milk lochs. There was milk everywhere. Well, the farmers did not know what to do. They didn't know what to do. And by the end of the day, the women of Kilmarnock had won the battle of the milk. The farmers put the price back to the old price. And the women of Kilmarnock, the feisty women, won the battle against the farmers in the famous Milk Rebellion of 1829.
Very good.
Well, those farmers, I think they probably had great big huge milk churns in their carts. But you know, Marie-Louise, I can actually remember as a child going along to the farm. I grew up in the countryside, and I can remember going along to the farm to collect the milk in a little milk churn and bring it back. I don't think that you can do that these days, collect milk from the actual farm, but that's what we used to do when we were little. Did you get your milk that way, Marie-Louise?
No, we got our milk from the co-op.
Ah.
But I have to say, I did have my own little milk adventure recently.
Uh-oh.
Yes. I'm very pleased that I can now get milk in a glass bottle near where I live. And, well, I have to tell you that a few weeks ago, I was on the bus coming home and had my pint of milk sitting at the top of my shopping trolley when the bus stopped rather suddenly. And the bottle of milk went shooting out of my shopping trolley, across the floor like a little rocket. And, of course, it spilled all over the floor. Well, at first, it was okay because the bus was tipped forward. But then it went up a wee hill and suddenly all the milk started to flow back. Oh. Everybody on the bus started screaming and lifting up their feet. And then somehow somebody produced loads of napkins and hankies and we tried to mop it up, but it was no good. It was no good. The bus driver had to call for somebody to come and clean the bus. And it was my bus stop. So I managed to retrieve the bottle and the wee bit of milk that was in the bottom, lift it up, and apologising to everybody on the bus, went home with just enough milk for a wee cup of tea. Very careful. I always hold the milk in my hand now if I'm on the bus because it's so cold.
I think your cheeks must have been burning that day.
Can't imagine the churns and churns of milk all over Kilmarnock Cross. It's terrible.
I know. If that was that much mess from your wee pint of milk, I hate to think what it was like in Kilmarnock that day.
Exactly. Well, when you were telling that story, Ailie, it reminded me of an old music hall song. I don't know if you know it. I don't know if you know it at home. It's called Oh, Oh, Antonio.
Yes.
And it's all about a girl who's rather upset that her boyfriend has found somebody else. And she wants to turn over his ice cream cart. Oh, oh, Antonio, he's gone away, left me on my own-io, all on my own-io. I'd like to meet him with his new sweetheart. Then up would go Antonio and his ice cream cart. Oh, oh, Antonio, he's gone away, left me on my own, all on my own. I'd like to see him with his new sweetheart. Then up would go Antonio and his ice cream cart.
That's a lovely one.
There's another song that I've been thinking about. But as the fields have all been cleared and the trees are hanging with apples, some of them have come off now. It's really, well, the end of harvest time, isn't it? And I thought about the fact that the seasons are starting to change, and that song Harvest Moon. I wonder if you know that one. Thought we could sing that. So please join in if you know this chorus. Shine on, harvest moon, up in the sky. I ain't had no lovin' since January, February, June or July. Snow time ain't no time to stay outdoors and spoon. So shine on, harvest moon, for me and my gal. Again, shine on, harvest moon, up in the sky. I ain't had no lovin' since January, February, June or July. Snow time ain't no time to stay outside and spoon. So shine on, harvest moon, for me and my gal.
Oh, lovely, really lovely. Well, Harvest Moon has put me in mind of a little autumn story that I know, and this is another story with a farmer, but it's not cows this time it's sheep. And if you were wanting to join in with this story at home, I am using, for this story, a sock. A white one if you have it, but it doesn't really matter. You hang on, Marie-Louise, and you'll see why we need the sock in a minute. So this is a story about a farmer in the Ayrshire hills, and he had a wee flock of sheep that roamed around in the hills up there. And one autumn day, one of his sheep got lost, and it was late in the afternoon, so the sun was already sinking behind the hills, and there was quite a wind blowing and rain beginning to fall. But there was nothing for it. The farmer had to find that sheep, and so he put on his wellies and he went up into the hills. He went up the first hill, down, up the hill, down the hill, up the hill, down the hill, up the hill, down the hill, looking for his sheep. Couldn't see her anywhere. So he kept on going, up the hill and down the hill, up the hill and down the hill, up the hill and down the hill, looking for his sheep. Couldn't see her anywhere. Up the hill and down the hill, up the hill and down the hill, up the hill, there she was, stuck in the boggy loch. Stuck in the mud and the water in the boggy loch. Well, I am not too sure about this farmer, because what he did next does not seem very sensible to me. But the story goes, he went marching up to the sheep, and he took hold of the sheep's long white tail, and he gave it a pull, and he gave it a pull, and he gave it a pull. But the sheep was stuck. He could not get that sheep out of the boggy loch. So he pulled, and he pulled, and he pulled. The sheep would not move an inch. So one more time, he pulled, and he pulled, and he pulled, and uh-oh, the sheep's tail came off. And Marie-Louise, if that tail had been stronger, my tail would have been longer. Of course, what he should have done was, in his great big black wellies, he should have just got into the boggy loch and got his arms under the tummy of the sheep. That would have been the proper way to get the sheep out of the loch, I think. One thing is for certain, after that, he certainly needed a nice cup of tea.
Well, I think some of us like a nice cup of tea after practically anything. Let's sing a nice cup of tea then.
Oh, lovely.
I like a nice cup of tea in the morning. I like a nice cup of tea with my tea. And when I go to my bed, there's a lot to be said for a nice cup of tea. I like a nice cup of tea in the morning. I like a nice cup of tea for my tea. And when I go to my bed, there's a lot to be said for a nice cup of tea.
Oh, well, do you know, Marie-Louise, I think it is time for you and me to stop and go away and have a nice cup of tea now.
Good idea.
But before we go, we would like to say a big thank you to all the folk at Connections for helping us with this, and a big thank you to all of you for joining us today. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.